Hey, what's going on guys? Eric here from Eric and Myles, and today I'm going to be talking to you about whether the Sony A6300 is worth it in 2020.
But for some reason,
I'd say, see you later. If I thought I'd see you later, and I'd tell you.
The Sony A6300 came out in 2016, so that makes it almost 4 years old now. The Sony A6300 runs off of a 24.2 megapixel APS-C size sensor. It can go up to 51,000 ISO. It shoots in 4K at 30 or 24 frames, shoots at 1080 up to 120 frames a second. It shoots AVC HD, XAVC HD, or XAVC 4K. The body is made out of magnesium alloy, so it is super strong. It's a nice metal body, so it can get beat up pretty bad and still be working fine on the insides. It comes with a built-in flash, which is super helpful sometimes when you're shooting and you don't have any fill lighting. It's just great because you can tilt it up and adjust for that super harsh light to make it a lot softer like this. Let's talk more about the video aspects. Like I said, it shoots 4K up to 30 frames, which is amazing. I personally use 1080 more than 4K just because that's just what I use. I can shoot 4K if I want, but I just haven't gotten into it yet. What I like the most about this camera is the 1080 120. That slow motion is just insane. The down part about this camera with video is that it has no in-body image stabilization. So if you do, you're going to want to use a stabilized lens, but unfortunately the one I have on right now is not stabilized. The autofocus on this is insanely fast. I used to shoot on the A7, so when I bought this, that slower AF to this is just an insanely skyrocketed level of autofocus. This is like a blink and it's focused. The low light of this camera is pretty good. It's not as good as my full frame cameras, but you know, that's expected. It is an APS-C sensor, so you're not going to be expecting anything super insane. It can go up to about 3200 ISO before you notice really bad noise. I've shot about 7 weddings with this camera. I use this on my gimbal and it just works incredibly good. Myles and I shoot weddings. We've shot weddings all through the summer and this never overheated once, even though I was shooting 1080, 120, 1080, 60, and 4K. It didn't even overheat once and I used it probably 7 times. The performance of this camera is just amazing. Now let's get into the photos. Photos, I don't really use this camera for photos much. I only use it for video for the most part, but the photos on this are pretty good too. I just prefer my full frame over this, but if you're gonna use this for photos, it won't let you down. You just need a good lens and it'll work pretty darn good. One thing that I think is a game changer for getting this rather than the A6000, which is its cheaper version of this camera, is the mic port. So this does have a mic port, unlike the A6000, which is the main reason I bought this over that, was the mic port. So when you're vlogging, you can use this and you'll get some great audio from a shotgun microphone or an external microphone you got. I have seen people try to fix that problem on the A6000, but it's just not the same as an onboard microphone. The battery on this takes those regular tiny little Sony batteries, so the battery life is not super good, but I found it is better on these than my A7 II just because I think the body's smaller, it doesn't have to power as much. So small battery, but still works pretty good. Well, for wedding days, I could probably only use 3 in one day if I'm shooting it, which is really impressive. I go through about 6 or 7 on this camera when I'm shooting weddings. Just great little camera. So I think I went over all the specs I wanted to go over. This camera I've used for about a year and I really like it. I've used it for multiple weddings. I've used it for a ton of vlogs. I've used it for a ton of photography. Professionally, it's been amazing. I'm more than happy with this purchase. Is it worth it? In 2020, I think it is. I would still purchase one of these in 2020. The 1080 is unmatched for the price range. Giving that 120 in this price range is just unheard of, and that 4K is just really great too. I know the SL3, Canon SL3 has 4K, but it does not have 1080 120, which is what the main reason I use this. I am a little biased towards Sony's because I like them. I just like the company a lot. Their cameras are just really great compared to Canon recently. But yeah, so is it worth it? I think it is. I bought this for about, I think I bought this for $450 or $400. It was really cheap. The camera was great, and I don't regret it at all. I've gotten my money's worth out of it. I've made my money back through weddings. If you find a good deal on eBay used, I would go for it. It's really just a great camera, and I would 100% recommend buying it. The camera is just all around good. There's only a couple things I don't like. So let's go through a pros and cons list of what I've all talked about. The pros is the 4K, the 1080 120, battery life, it's lightweight, which is really great. The low light is pretty darn good, and the mic port. So all of these pros and then these cons, the no in-body image stabilization, still pretty meh battery life compared to other cameras, and then I can't think of another con. I love this camera. Yeah, that's it. I think that's pretty much the only two cons I have. So yeah, that's it. So if you like this video, consider subscribing. We have a lot of videos out about this camera if you want to check them out on our channel, Eric and Myles. If you like this video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Consider sharing with a friend if you thought it was cool or helpful. Check out some of our other content, and I'll see you guys next time.
At a Clippers game on the court side. Watch a nigga shoot like a 4-5. They mad at me too, I got more fire. Why these bitches see you? Go home ride.